Hello, hello, how are we doing today? If you're not familiar with the music that we were just listening to there in the introduction, the countdown, whatever you want to call it, it's one of my very favorite dark ambient projects. The Human Voice Silent Heart is the album. This released on Cyclic Law back in, I believe, 2015. And this is seriously one of my very favorites. This is a side project by Airleaf of Northhaunt. So this is the second album by this project, but it's by far, I personally like it significantly better than the first album, which came out several years earlier. Everything about this thing is amazing. I really like how we ended it on that commercial there, sort of. And it actually, the physical edition comes with this little booklet that's full of Airleaf's photography. Some dark ambient photography, as it were. I won't show you all of it. Here's one more. You should buy the CD and check out the rest yourself. Let me hop over there. Yeah, this is the Bandcamp page for it.
12 miles long, paradise is only begins to describe great things. Contact travelers using one of the world's best beaches, and the most scenic beach. You'll know how bizarre the beaches where stormy clouds alone, and which is the deeper blue, the turquoise water, or the azure sky. And once all those cares and worries have melted away, you'll wonder, does it really matter? Why not book your vacation today at NLParadiseIsland.com?
Absolutely phenomenal release. And as you can see by the number of sales there, this thing really, well, I think at this time I think still in that year, yeah, this was at the very beginning of 2016. And I don't think Cyclic Law actually had a Bandcamp page yet at that point, which is why there's so few Bandcamp sales on here. But so like back then it would have been strictly physical editions, I guess. I don't really remember exactly. I think we could only get physical editions back then from Cyclic Law. So there probably were a lot more of the CDs sold at that point. Nevertheless, if you haven't checked it out, you absolutely should. Northhaunt's Airleaf Longus unveiled in 2008 new work under the name The Human Voice. Now the much-anticipated follow-up to his first album is finally here as Silent Heart, where his work as Northhaunt primarily focuses on rendering barren landscapes orally. The Human Voice dives within, to the core of emotional turbulence and confusion. Melodic piano passages and intricate field recordings like only he can capture fuse with sparse atmospherics. Silent Heart is a deep, personal plunge into the aching heart of man. Yeah, truly amazing project. Highly recommended. Highly, highly recommended if you are unfamiliar with it. Yeah, and one of the first things that I wanted to go into here today is there's a 30% off all physical music from Anathema Publishing. They are predominantly a book publisher, but they have a partnership with Cyclic Law. So Cyclic Law sells their books in Europe, and they sell Cyclic Law's CDs in Canada. They're out of Quebec. But they also carry music from a lot of other places as well. Yeah, so this is their music distro page, and everything on this page is 30% off. And let me change this to US dollars so you can get an idea. Yeah, so these are the prices. These are the full prices in US dollars that we're looking at right now. So of course taxes, or I mean shipping is going to be added to that, but these are really, really reasonable prices to start with, and you drop another 30% off on top of that, and that is like, those are really good deals. So these are a bunch of Hypnagoga Press releases that are available on there, and then they have some various other releases, a bunch of Alone in the Hollow Garden, various titles from Zazen, Creation 6, that's a really nice Cryo Chamber album, actually. Creation 6 is a great project in general. Yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff on here. This Purificatium, I really enjoy that one. I enjoy all of these Alone in the Hollow Garden releases. And then also there's all of the recent Cyclic Law releases on here as well. This doesn't include books, just the music. This Osala Sakral here is absolutely fantastic. The Underheimer Heljarunar is sold out everywhere else for quite a while now, so there's still 5 copies of that one left there. Svartsen's reissue on CD and vinyl is available. They have, if you're looking to pick up a copy of Kammarheit's Triune, that would be the time to get it. There's still 3 of those there. That's a pretty expensive purchase, so if you can get it for 30% off, that would be a big deal. I have a copy, and it's absolutely fantastic and worth the money. So I would definitely recommend that. Yeah. A bunch of Raison d'être, Desideri Marginis, all sorts of good stuff here. They've got a pretty nice selection. So, yeah, definitely, if you're looking to get some physical purchases in the very near future, I highly recommend that. So, let's hop back over here to the other screen for a second. This is running from February 24th, which was 2 days ago, until March 4th. 30% off all the music. Put in the coupon code MMM30 at checkout to get the 30% off. Really, really sweet sale. So hit that up, guys. Definitely hit that sale up. Next up, I wanted to mention this book, Black Aether, just released by David Haim Smith. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, DJB North. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff there that I don't currently have either, that I'm like considering grabbing some myself. It's really the time to do it. So the link is there in chat, and I will also, when I upload this to YouTube for people that are watching it later, I'll drop the link in the description below the video on YouTube. Yeah, so David Haim Smith's new Black Aether book here. Oh, nope, that's just going to take us straight to PayPal. Well, we don't get a lot of pictures yet, but yeah. I'll read the description for this one. If we hold ourselves as separate observers of reality, we will never understand reality. Contemplative mysticism is like a wild beast that consumes itself upon the fires of its own life force. The labyrinth of impressions that constitute so-called ordinary life are incinerated whole as a single sacrificial offering as the mind confronts the endless expanse of its own confusions and pain. This becomes the great tikkun, repair, for a seemingly meaningless random universe based on cognitive error. Reality is then absorbed within the very space that presents it. Familiarity passes into oblivion, and an astonishing secret nutrient becomes available to all those who seek it. In this style of contemplative practice, the psychoetheric toxins that obscure phenomena are sipped like a bee draws nectar from a flower, and the universal solvent called black ether is discovered in the heart of the most virulent and poisonous clifford. The black ether dissolves and annihilates the whole field of illusions, and as each obstructive shell evaporates into nothingness, the secret elixir of En Sof overflows through whatever appears. When delusion is overcome by En Sof remains. When delusion is overcome, only En Sof remains, and reality is spontaneously reborn as profound truth, beauty, and goodness. This realization is the true goal of the great work. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. It's if you've seen his previous books, they're already pretty massive, and this one is even bigger than the others. This is 10 by 10. So, I'll hop over here to the big, not that one. This is the size of his usual books, and it's even bigger than this one. So, that's pretty sweet. Next up, the new album by Llyn, if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm sure I am. Has now released. Really amazing album. I've been listening to this quite a bit. Click that like button on there. Oh yeah, let me drop that link in there to Black Ether for you guys before I move on, in case you want to check that out. But yeah, let's take the 4.5 minutes here and check out this video real quick. Thank you, sir. How bad did I pronounce it? Pretty bad? No worries, we can leave your mom out of this. Yeah, so I think you get the idea there. And I'll hop over here to the Bandcamp page for that album and drop the link in here for you guys. And so this is their personal Bandcamp page, but it's also available from Cold Spring. And also of interest, under live streams up here, there's going to be a album launch stream on March 3rd. An incredible full-length video work to accompany the album will be live streamed. The video is made by the artist and contains footage from onboard research cruises from the bottom of the ocean to the Arctic. Benjamin Ian Powell will be live on the event chat, and the video will be available for 48 hours after the event so that people from different time zones can view. It's pre-recorded, not live, but yeah, it should be interesting. So I clicked the you are attending this event button there, so I'll get notified about it, I guess. I've never checked out a live stream on Bandcamp before. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. So, yeah, if you like that sort of like Northant type of sound, this project is just absolutely magnificent. Every single one of their albums is just fantastic. I can't say enough good things about this project. Yeah, all of these releases are amazing. This one here is actually my personal favorite. This came out in 2019. Yeah, this is my personal favorite, but I recommend all of them. And the new one is really nice too. So, next up, Cryo Chamber has a new one by ProtoU. So, let's check out this quick little 2-minute track here. I actually haven't heard the album yet. I'm looking forward to digging into it. So, for those of you that aren't familiar with this project, this is Sasha Puzan now is her last name, because she is married to Oleg Puzan, who is known to us as Drani Darko. And they are both dark ambient producers out of Kiev, Ukraine. So our thoughts and best wishes can go out to those two on this crazy time in their city. And let's hope that they are safe and out of harm's path right now. It's a horrible time for her album to be dropping with this happening right as it happened, but how would you know? Can't really plan ahead for these kinds of things. But yeah, her project is really great. I really, really love all of her albums. She's honestly one of my favorite artists on Cryo Chamber. Ever since her very first release, she's really just had a solid project. And all of the albums are always quite different from each other, different enough that it's not like, it's not like some projects where it's like every single one just feels like the same thing over and over again. There's a lot of change from album to album, theme to theme with her project. So, ProtoU presents a new atmospheric sci-fi album with Memory Alpha. Sasha's textural droning combines with sweeping rumbles and sonic details that engulf into a strange, dreamy album. John, I have a bunch of her albums from Cryo Chamber, good stuff. Yeah, absolutely, same here. Yeah, I love her music. Pear, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. So, yeah, definitely check out the new ProtoU album there. And the 50% off right now on Cryo Chamber is for Dead Melodies albums. And I'm a huge fan of the Dead Melodies project. My favorite of theirs actually is still their first album, The Legends of the Wood. This is a really nice project here. I'll just play a few seconds of it. I like the field recordings in this one. I'm always a fan of the field recordings. And I like the instrumentation in this one as well. It's quite an active album. See here, I said years ago, the perfect combination of atmosphere, emotion, and technical prowess give us a lot to enjoy. This is one of the most refreshing albums so far this year. I said in 2017. Yeah, so that one's worth checking out. I'll drop the link to the ProtoU release in chat here, and then of course you can get to the other Cryo Chamber albums easily from there. Next up is Dagon. Simon sort of sent me a little care package here. So, I'll show you. So yeah, first off we have Dagon, and then I'm gonna play some of this, and I'm thinking I might read Dagon. Is anybody opposed to that? Who would be interested in hearing that? It's a relatively short story here. It's 2, 3, 4 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, well, almost 5 pages. Is anybody opposed to that idea? So, alright then. This gives me the perfect opportunity to show off my favorite book in my collection, the beautiful Easton Press edition of the complete fiction of H.P. Lovecraft, with actual gold foil. Also on the top of the side, around the edges of the book is gold as well. Absolutely magnificent. So yeah, we are listening to Cryo Chamber's newish album Dagon, and I will read the story here in the book while we're listening. And hopefully I don't get tired of reading. This might be a bad idea, we'll find out. Dagon. I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain. since by tonight I shall be no more, penniless and at the end of my supply of the drug, which alone makes life endurable. I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below. Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death. I was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific, that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider. The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation, so that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners. So liberal indeed was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken I managed to escape, alone in a small boat, with water and provisions for a good length of time. When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight. The weather kept fair, and for unaccounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land. But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous. When last I awaked, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in a monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished, for there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things, which I saw protruding from a nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime, yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet. As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position. Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, strain my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things. For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade in the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness, and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue. On the third morning I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with the graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal. All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a far-away hummock, which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert. That night I encamped, and on the following day still traveled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it. By the fourth evening I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. an intervening valley setting it out in the sharper relief from general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill. I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fascinatingly gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions I had experienced were too much for me to endure again, and in the glow of the moon, I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy indeed. I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crescent of the eminence. I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me, but I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into the immeasurable pit, or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost, and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined. Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual. Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian waters where no light had yet penetrated. All at once my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon, that it was merely a gigantic piece of stone. I soon assured myself that I was conscious of a distinct impression that the contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express, for despite its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely. The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, widening out of sight in both directions, and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could not now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures. The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics, unknown to me and unlike anything I had ever seen in books, consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols, such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was a pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound. Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs, whose subjects would have excited the envy of a Dor. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer, they were damnably human in a general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, They seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with the scenic background, for one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale represented as but a little larger than himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born. Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of most daring anthropologists, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then suddenly I saw it. With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters. Vast, Polyphemus-like, and loathsome it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it's flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds. I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little. I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing. I have indistinct recollections of a great storm some time after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard peals of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods. When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital, brought thither by a captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific my rescuers knew nothing, nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe. Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with my peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god, but soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries. It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug had given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into the clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information of the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men. Often I ask myself if it could not have all have been a pure phantasm, a mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols, and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows, to drag down in their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind, of a day when the land shall sink, and the dark ocean floor shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium. The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it. It shall not find me. God, that hand. The window. The window. Well, that wasn't so bad. And I didn't lose anybody, I think. So, here's the CD. The Dagon CD from Cryo Chamber. I like these editions that they do. It's sort of like a hardcover book. And the artwork on the CD itself is really beautiful. And then we've got some writings that are not necessarily from the story, but are, I guess, inspired by it. And some more very cool imagery. And that's a 2-disc set there. And then also, we have a reissue of Cthulhu that's also in the digibook, which is awesome because this was the first of the Lovecraft albums and still to this day one of my favorites. So I'm really excited. I never had this one physically, so I'm really excited to have it in its new edition now. And this is the same sort of situation here with inspired stories and imagery within the booklet, which is really nice. Put that one up here. And see the artists that were, if I can get it to zoom in correctly, to focus. And then we have the physical edition of the new Atrium, Carceri, and Kammarheit Colossus album, which is also in the digibook format. And that's also going to be releasing in the relatively near future on vinyl. So, yeah, this is a fantastic release. I've already talked about it in several streams, so I won't speak on this one again. But, yeah, highly recommended. Really fantastic release. So, yeah, so that's the new stuff from Cryo Chamber, and I hope that wasn't too horrible with the reading that I did there. But yeah, I don't think I lost anybody, so that's cool. That's a good sign. Let's see here. Next up. Oh, you're very welcome, Pear. Next up is a new collaboration between Nordvargr and Trepaneringsritualen, Beta Ænigma, foreseen to be released in March of 2022. Yeah, I guess they're taking discounted pre-orders, and then it'll cost €3 more once it releases. So let's give this a little listen to their preview here. Yes, I agree, John. So yeah, what was supposed to be a one-off collaboration returns again, spitting more vitriol into the face of the world. Nordvargr and Thomas Ekela and Trepaneringsritualen performing a pure ritualistic form of music, if you could call it that. These ritual sounds are once again to be considered a living curse, one that spirals out of control and gains more momentum for every time it is recited or played. Let the atmosphere guide you to places you would never find on your own, and open up to the formulae of submission and madness, a deep and obscured abyss of unknown pleasure and pains. Yeah, that sounds really cool. It has a yeah, it has a bit of a oral hypnox kind of feel to it. Really digging that. Next up we have OmenSworn, Morgue Meditations. I'm not too familiar with this project, but it looks of interest. Looks interesting to me. It's a Roman project, dark ambient doomscape, an urban dungeon. We often think of the moment of death as that time at which the heartbeat and breathing stop. We are learning, however, that death isn't instantaneous. Our brains are now thought to continue to work for 10 minutes or so after we die, meaning that our brains may, in some way, be aware of our death. A very unsettling journey deep into the depths of your inner being. Face your fragile mortal existence and take helm of the odyssey into the final steps of this flesh realm. Morgue Meditations is the dark side of dark ambient music, an oral transport to the world of the dead with full consciousness intact. I like that description. Sometimes I think dark ambient isn't always dark enough to call itself dark ambient. Like, we need some more classifications that fall somewhere between ambient and dark ambient. But yeah, projects that sort of take on this, like, really dark, morbid theme seems nice. Yeah, well, not, you know, I think, like, that's why I try to call things like sci-fi ambient and polar ambient, because a lot of both of those could fall under a dark ambient category, but they're not so much dark. Gray ambient. Yes. With an E, I like that. I don't like spelling my grays with A's. I don't like our American way of doing it. But yeah, this sounds like a very cool project, so I recommend you guys to give it a try on your own time, and possibly look deeper into the discography of this artist. Definitely has a urban dungeon feel to it. I like that. Next up, a new one from Red Fog, which is sort of a big name in the dark drone ambient category. That he seems to be very well known, but yet doesn't necessarily have label releases very often, which is kind of interesting. And this one comes with no description, but somebody here, I guess, tells us a little bit more about the project. An abandoned Norwegian whaling station on the Deception Island, South Shetland Islands, Antarctica, with a whaler's cemetery, the largest cemetery in Antarctica. The polar soundscapes here are cold, icy, and barren. What hope remains is an exceptional sound design to fall abandoned to. Yeah, so this is right up my alley. Very cool field recordings. That is a feast for the ears. Yeah, I'm looking forward to delving the rest of the way into that album. That sounds really cool. I was listening to this one for quite a while earlier, while I was preparing for the stream, actually. Death One Cassette. This one is dedicated to Thomas Ligotti. And the dates are unreal. I can't say much for this cover art. But the music is really nice. sort of move through this a little bit here. Moving on, we have a new release from Somber Sonics, the new Druha Smrt album, which I am a huge fan of their project. Probably my favorite project on the Somber Sonics label. I've been a big fan of these guys for years now. Well, it's actually a husband and wife duo from, I believe, Slovakia? Czech Republic. We are very proud to announce the latest release from Druha Smrt, marking the 10th year of working with the excellent ritual project hailing from the Czech Republic. The musician said, "We spent some time thinking about a ritual sound poem that would be suitable to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the release of our first album on Somber Sonics. Kenneth Grant described the wordless aeon, and we understand that it is identical to the interregnum in which we find ourselves. Eschaton immanentized? We decided to create a passage to our own aeon, this time transcending immanence through ritual. The ritual began with Samhain and ended with the Imbiok. This was built upon our long-standing interest in runosophy and dreaming thelema. The soundscape originated as a karyochoresis from this imaginal world where we traveled, a poem that created itself from an unknown source." Yeah, so interestingly enough, this project is moving into, like you heard there, sort of like a, I don't know, I guess sort of black metal sort of sound, but they, up to this point, have basically been a dark ambient project, so it's quite a change from their previous work. So, I recommend checking that out, as well as most of their previous releases. Really, really wonderful project. Next up we have a new one on Kalpamantra, which used to be, or possibly still is, somehow connected to Malignant Records. I don't know that they really have a connection anymore. Not quite sure about that. But, yeah. Things here can be of varying quality, but this one sounds pretty cool to me. Yeah, they're on a bunch of compilations. I believe they're on both of my previous compilations. Yeah, they're probably... yeah, they're on a good bit of stuff. Their project is, I guess I would say, you know, pretty well respected by the community. Yeah, this is another track that feels like pretty dark. And continuing along here, we are going to move into some things that are a little less dark, but still really nice. This is a new one on Faint. Yeah. John says, I haven't listened to a lot that Kalpamantra has released since those great compilations stopped. Yeah. Yeah, the compilations were their bread and butter. Over the years, they have had some really nice albums. Like, there have been some great releases that came through there. Yeah, Tertium Organum was a project that released a few albums on there that I really enjoyed. Tertium Organum is a side project of the artist better known as Agrisomnia that's released some Cryo Chamber albums. And yeah, those Tertium Organum tracks are fantastic. Not much to say on this one, but really nice stuff. Faint always has, they've got a really, it's not necessarily dark ambient, but it's good stuff. And it's a consistent label. I would definitely recommend following this label if you dig stuff like this. We'll check out a little of the second track here. Yeah, I really like the Svalbard albums they release on here. I'm a huge fan of Svalbard. I've been listening to that quite a bit over the last few days, actually. Yeah, that's the project that I'm most familiar with from here. I love all of Svalbard's releases. Yeah, Pep says, indeed, the Tertium Organum, it's much darker than his work on Cryo Chamber. Still a great artist by all means. Yes, and hello to you as well. Yeah, let me see if I can track down one of those albums since I was talking about it and you also agreed with me there. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing some good stuff as I scroll through here. There certainly have been some nice albums through this label. Sun Through Eyelids, Xerxes the Dark, Deviant are some of my particular favorites. This Coma Centauri is a nice project. Noctilucent did an album on here. Here we go. Tertium Organum Allude. This is one of my favorites. There's a couple of them, but I really like this one. Give that a little listen. See which track did I say I liked the most on here? Cosmic Weird. We'll listen to that one. Yeah, what did I say? This is dark ambient in its purest and finest form, with no cinematics or narratives to hold its hand. The entirety of the judgment lies in the sonic manipulations, the evolving drones, and the minimal insertion of field recordings. Yeah, this is a great album. I'll drop a link to it there. This is from years ago. This came out in 2016. Nice. That's cool. Yeah, this is a great release. I really like that cover art too. Oops. Just clicked on the wrong screen. I see my mouse over here and I think it's on the browser, but it's actually in my streaming platform, and then I drag half the window. Oh well. I still have it wrong. There we go. Yeah, he did make more albums. I believe there's another one on Kalpamantra here. I think this is a side project of his as well. I'll check that one out real quick as well. Yeah, here we go. This is the one I was looking for. Self-titled. And I think this one's him also. It doesn't say, but I'm pretty sure this is him. It's been some years. My memory is faded on the topic. But yeah, this is the self-titled, I believe, the Tertium Organum debut. I really don't like how I have my camera positioned today. It's like I'm staring out the side of the screen, but you guys will just have to deal with it. Oh yeah, you're right, I got a bunch of dropped frames. No idea why that is. I don't know what's happening there, sorry about that. It is certainly still happening too. Hopefully it'll go back to normal here momentarily. Yeah, cool, I was right, yeah, this FL anti-album then. Yeah, don't know why the stream was getting weird. It looks like it's fixing itself now. Sometimes I just have to wait it out. Let me see if my computer's... Nope, now it's in the red again. Let me exit any other programs that might be messing with us here. I doubt it's on my computer though. Who knows? Maybe something probably decided to update, or my virus scan decided to run in the middle of the stream. Check that here real quick. No idea. Oh. Yep. Oh, you think that's a lot? I have like, on a regular basis in my other, that might be the problem actually. My other browser is still open and I have like 60 tabs open in it, literally, like 60 tabs. But still, that shouldn't be a problem. I think it's fixed itself now. It's back in the green over here. Yeah, I have a lot of interests and I don't want to forget about anything. So like, I don't know. Like, I have a tab open for all of my different social medias, and then I have, like, different albums that I want to go back to and listen to, and books that I want to buy, and articles that I want to read, interviews that I want to read. I always have, like, 20 YouTube tabs open for different, like, things that I want to watch, and I closed, like, 20 or 30 tabs today before I started. But that shouldn't be an issue because, I don't know, my computer should handle that. It's usually not a problem. Even with all that stuff open, it only ever ends up being like 10% of my PC's power that's getting taken by it. I don't know anything at all about this project, nor can I pronounce its name, but it's cool stuff. So yeah, if you like it, I don't really know what it's about. Well, okay, so it's a chilly sun descends beyond the mountains. The spring twilight enchants me. For years I have waited. That's all I can say. But it's Name Your Price, and it's very chill music. It looks like it's out of Poland. Yeah, I think we're good again. Is the stream back to normal for you guys? Next we've got an album here on We Are All Ghosts. Haven't listened to much of this one yet, but it seemed pretty cool from what I heard, and it has okay, cool, yeah, we're back to normal. Yeah, I thought so, yeah. Don't know what that was about. Like I said, probably something was updating. There was some automatic update that was happening that decided to steal half my bandwidth. Yeah, so about this album, this is Jamie Munari's, or something like that. Circular Dwell. They say about it, I have this idea of a frozen time that haunts me. This was the opening sentence when Jamie approached me with a piece of music he had recorded. It goes without saying that I was intrigued. He went on to say it was, in part, inspired by a long piece of music by Steve Reich, entitled Somnium, which I love. Excuse me. Lost my voice doing all that Dagon reading. And so yeah, it's inspired by Somnium, which is a fantastic album, and then describe his recording process. He recorded Circular Dwell in one take and would add little elements of processed guitar to the piece during the recording. He kept on going for the whole 78 minutes. People would be around him, call at the door, ring the phone, but he kept recording, isolated, and yet not alone. Yeah, so I'll just kind of hop around a little bit and let you guys hear how this thing progresses. Yeah, so give that a try if you like it. Name Your Price, so, nothing to lose. This is a really nice album that I've only heard a little bit of so far, but I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of it. Of Sun and Rains, The Flutter of Wings, and this is on a label that has just recently come to my attention, Starry Earth. I'm not sure how many releases they have right now. Yeah, it's not a lot. It's a pretty new label. Mastered by Raphael Pizzella of Sonologist, which is what brought the label to my attention in the first place, because he had shared their Bandcamp mentioning that he had mastered a bunch of these albums, so I gave it a try, and I'm really enjoying it. Has a nice, warm, depressive feel to it. There's the link. Again, not particularly dark ambient, but I think it should be of interest to you guys all the same. Next up, we have a collaboration between Applefish and Spacecraft. This is a pretty short, basically like a single, through Valley View Records. But yeah, I've really been digging Spacecraft's music lately. Very, very chill stuff. This is really nice sleep music. And I don't know anything about Applefish. But, yeah, Spacecraft is really quite nice. It's sort of, yeah, it's, I don't know, they call it electronic ambient. It's, sort of a spacey ambient, certainly not dark ambient, but, again, definitely to our sensibilities. Yeah, we're sort of... Yeah, so this is... Yeah, we're getting sort of close to the end here. This is, again, not particularly dark ambient, but really nice. I enjoy this 1631 recordings. They have a lot of nice, sort of classically inclined, I'll just read it here. 1631 Recordings was established in the summer of 2015 by David Wenengren and is distributed digitally by Decca Recording Records and Universal. 1631 Publishing was some of the best new contemporary classical and electronic composers, including recent signings Danny Mollern, Hoshiko Yamane, and Dmitry Evgrav. But yeah, the cover art for this one really caught my eye, and the sounds are quite nice. If the music isn't particularly dark ambient, the cover art certainly is. This is Carlos Hoff's Komorebi. I'm not. I think you did mention them, John. Fiernils, Fiernlis. I'm not particularly a fan of that project. Though I do like. I mean, it's good enough, but they are one of my least favorite artists on Loki Found, but they're still quite nice. I'll say it that way. I don't know. It's not that it's bad. It's just not to my personal taste. There's something about it that I don't know what I don't like about it, but it's just never really stuck with me that much. Yeah, I have this Kammarheit and Philios of Dawn and of Ice on vinyl, which is awesome. Yeah, I've heard some of this one. I have heard a bunch of their music on these various Incendium compilations. This Circular Radiating Perpetual Light, I really, really love that album. That's actually one of my favorites on Loki Found, and also this Bad Sector Ampos. Particularly, actually, which one is it on? I think it's on 4. Yes, this live version of Ampos is amazing. Yeah, this is only $2. You guys should really pick this compilation up. This is a fantastic compilation. I'm gonna play some of this track. Who here is familiar with this track? This is certainly my favorite from Bad Sector. I love blasting this track in my car. Oh, I'd love to see them live. I want to see this track live so bad. Yeah, this live version I really, really love. Even significantly more so than the album version, honestly. Yes, Cosmodrome. That's a good one. They also have excerpts of some of my very favorite dark ambient on here as well. Northon's If Only My Heart Were Stone and Svartson's Ashes of the Late World, which are from their The Borrowed World vinyl edition, which is inspired by Cormac McCarthy's The Road. I haven't heard this track in forever. I love this so much. I don't have a CD player in my car anymore, but in my old car, this CD stayed in the car. So I listened, it always came back into rotation because I never took it out of my car. But now I listen to digital in the car, so it's always changing. And it's mostly been Ice Peak recently. Which is definitely not dark ambient. I wonder if they got arrested. They are Russian, and they were definitely protesting a few days ago. I don't know if they were in public, but they certainly were on Instagram. Yeah, and a bit of this one. This is my favorite Northon track, I think. This is such a... Oh man, here, let me find the outline here. You guys need this in your life. Was a, I guess, done in partnership, or whatever you want to call it, between Loki Found and Malignant Records. Really, really wonderful album. I just flipped that thing over and over and over again. The side A is a 20-minute Northon track, and side B is a 20-minute Svartson track, and they are some of my favorite tracks by both artists. Let me see if I can find if they have the full album on here. Yeah, that track was amazing. Like I said, the best version of it is on that Incendium 4 compilation there. So that's my favorite track on the Ampos album. So for what it's worth. Yeah, here's the Northon Svartson, the Borrowed World. This is one of my very, very favorite dark ambient albums. Utterly magnificent. Oh, you guys can't see it, sorry. Glorious, glorious release. They have the CD version available on here. I guess probably the vinyl is long ago sold out. But the copy that I got had a vinyl, but it also had the CD in a digi sleeve. So the CD's just sort of tucked in with the vinyl, but that's not the case with all the vinyl editions, and they may all be sold out everywhere now. But if you really want one, you could find it on Discogs, I'm sure. I probably need another one. Mine has been heavily, heavily played. It's probably pretty messy. Did I drop that in? Yes, I dropped that in chat. Yeah, check that shit out. New Aseptic Void album, Martha is Dead soundtrack. This is a game, I'm assuming. I haven't played the game yet. The album is not actually for sale. Oh yeah, the Northon in the Woods video. Yeah, It's some great stuff. I will drop that back in here again, actually. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. All of the illegal uploads before you actually get to his own page. Sad. Sad. But yeah, this is what they were talking about here. I'll drop this in chat. Yeah, the guy behind Northon, he just goes out into the woods and takes his camera with him and shows us some really awesome shit. Like, these are all like 10-15 minute videos of him just doing cool wintry stuff in the wild. Not really music related, just wandering around in the snow. Yeah, this Aseptic Void album will be available soon, I guess, but I guess it says the purchase is temporarily disabled due to a legal agreement, so I would assume that for a certain amount of time the music is only available from the game publisher, and then later on Aseptic Void will be able to sell it himself, but I don't have a link to the game, but I'm sure you can find it. Alright, and last but not least, or maybe least, depending on how you feel about these things, and I don't usually play this here, so, alert, I am getting ready to start playing some noise, but, when I listen to noise, False Maria is a very nice noise project, so yeah, cover your ears, hide your eyes. Good stuff. No description. None needed.
I was a little amazed when I run into people who feel that technology is something that's outside.
Awesome. Llyn is cool. Good dude.
That one can accept and reject. And that's true
Alright, and with that noise, we will end things here. Thank you guys all for hanging out today. I really appreciate you being here. Looks like we got a few more people than usual. It looks like roughly 7 people hanging out here. So that's cool. Usually it's not too many people for the stream, and then a lot of people check it out later on YouTube. So for those of you that did check this out on YouTube, come find us on Twitch to hang out in the real party. But also thanks. And if you are watching it on YouTube, like and subscribe that bitch. Peace. Have a good day, guys. Namaskaram.